Hi guys, and welcome to Sonic Academy's How to Record series. In this tutorial, we're going to be showing you how to record your acoustic guitar. But before we jump in and press record, there are a few considerations to ensure you get a good recording. The first thing is to make sure your guitar is in tune. No amount of computer processing will ever truly fix an out of tune guitar. Also, if you want to add MIDI instruments like piano or strings, tuning becomes essential for these to work together. Next, make sure you have a nice sounding guitar. So restring it if it's sounding dull and lifeless, or borrow a friend's guitar if it sounds better than your own. It's worth spending a bit of time doing this before you start, as it will probably make the biggest difference to the quality of your recording. Now we need to open up our DAW and start a new project. So let's get started.
Okay guys, so this is Sequel 2's user interface. And what we're basically looking at is our arrangement window where we can add new tracks and see our audio waveforms go across this timeline, which is measured in bars across the top here. Also at the top of our Sequel's interface window we have our transport controls, and here we can skip to the end of the track, skip back to the start, hit play, loop a particular section, and the all-important record button. Down here at the bottom right we can also zoom into our track to get a closer look. Let's zoom out again. Down here in the bottom left we have actual size of our track options. Also up here at the top we have the position of our playhead. We have the tempo of our track, which is set to 120 beats per minute, which is standard for most DAWs. We have our time signature and our key, which isn't set yet. But before we want to go and add a new track to record our acoustic guitar, we need to actually tell the software to use our USB mic or whatever microphone or sound card you're using, to use that as the input and output of our session. And to do that we need to go down to the bottom here and click this arrow, which will open up our preferences page. And in here we can change where we want to save our project, and in audio settings we can actually select which sound card or audio interface we want to use. In this case I want to use our USB audio codec, which is my USB microphone, and it's asking me do I want to switch to it, and I want to switch. We can just double check that that's worked by clicking setup and making sure input is selected and output is selected. That means that our input and output of the session are going to use our USB microphone. So I can hit close. Also down here we can select our output, which is stereo out, which is what we want. We can also change our recording format from 16-bit to 24-bit. 24-bit is obviously better quality, but if you want to put your finished track onto a CD, it's best to keep it at 16 bits. Over here we've got user interface options, which lets us change the color of the Sequel interface, and you can select whatever color you like. I'm going to keep it on silver. Down here in options we can choose if we want to auto quantize our audio, which automatically snaps our waveforms to the nearest beat or bar, keeping our audio perfectly in time. We also have metronome settings, which allows us to select if we want our metronome to play while we're recording, if we want it to play while we're listening back to the track, and it lets us adjust our overall level of our metronome. Okay, that's all we need to know about our preferences panel for the meantime. So now we want to create a new track so we can record our acoustic guitar into Sequel. So we can go up to the top left here and we can click add new track, and that will bring us up a load of different preset sounds that we can use. But I just want an empty track, so I'm going to click empty here and then click OK. And that brings us up our audio track here, and you can see I'm getting a signal as I'm talking into the mic. I'm just going to rename the track by double clicking on this white space and calling it acoustic guitar, just so I know what track is what. We have a few options here. This red circle is record ready or record enable, which just tells the software that I want to record audio onto this track. We also have solo here, which lets us listen to the track separate from the mix, and mute, which mutes the track. If we click down here at the bottom left, large tracks, it'll show us another option here, which is our input selection. And at the minute it's set to stereo in, but I want it set to left so I can get a mono signal. So now the audio is playing back in both speakers or both headphones if you're using headphones. Some more options we have here, like the volume of our track. We also have pan, which moves our audio into the left or right speaker by how much or how little you want. And we can also change the color of our track to whatever we like. And we also have an automatic fade here, which reduces clicks at the end of our audio if we want to stop and it cuts off. And we have freeze, which is another option, which freezes our effects and settings on the track, so that frees up a bit of CPU usage and doesn't overload our CPU. Up here in the top right we have a CPU usage signal, which just lets us know how much CPU power we're actually using on our computer. Okay, but before we hit record and record our track, we just need to make sure that our tempo is set up correct, because we want to play the metronome while we're recording to make sure that our track is perfectly in time. And we can do this by setting up our metronome and clicking this little button here. We can turn it on, and I'm just going to play along with the metronome to make sure that it's the right tempo. Okay, it sounds a little bit too fast, so I'm just going to knock the tempo down by about 5. So we'll go for 115. We can do that by just clicking on it and dragging it up or down, like so. Yep, that sounds much better. So now we're almost ready to record. We need to just quickly check if we're in tune. We can do that by using Sequel's onboard tuner.
Okay guys, I'm going to show you a little bit about mic placement here. There's a couple different ways we can set up our mic in front of our guitar. The first way I'm going to show you is directly in front of the sound hole. As you can hear, there's quite a full sound. There's a lot of low end, but it does sound a little bit boomy. So we're going to try moving the mic towards the end of the guitar. As you can hear, there's less low end, it's less boomy, it's slightly clearer, but it's not quite as bright as I want it to be. So we're going to try moving the mic in between the 12th fret and the sound hole. Let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, that's a much brighter sound. I think that's the placement I'm going to use for this session. Okay.
We're now ready to press record. Let's double check our metronome is on, and let's hit record.
Okay, in the next tutorial we're going to record a second guitar part.